Hello, my name's Steve Simpkins. I'm a Bilston East councillor. I'm also the Cabinet Member for Economic Development. It gives me great pleasure for me to be able to support Black Business Network across the city in our Business Week roadshow this week. It's key and vital that we support all businesses across the city, none more especially than the BAME community, who have suffered exponentially worse than the rest of the population per se. It gives us pleasure for us to help and support in any which way we can to help develop economic recovery across the city, but also to respect people's safety with regards to the COVID legislation. We also need to make sure that people are safe in work and out of work when they're coming into the city. So I look forward to having good conversations and negotiations across the coming weeks and months so as we can develop our further recovery.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wolverhampton Black Business Network webinar, which is being supported by the City of Wolverhampton Council. The theme of this webinar is coping with COVID-19 and the challenges for black businesses. My name is Henry Sapo. I'm your host. A bit about myself. I'm a chartered financial planner. I own a practice known as Radical Financial Services Limited here in Wolverhampton. I've been practicing for over 25 years. I'm also a director of Wolverhampton Black Business Network and a treasurer. I've got 4 distinguished panel guests in the panel. Oh, sorry. Cut.
Carry on. Just carry on.
I've got 4 distinguished guests in the panel. I will introduce them to you now. We have Sam Duru. Sam is the Executive Director, Chairman of Wolverhampton Black Business Network. Sam is also the founder and managing consultant of SCA Consulting Limited. He is a qualified accountant, CIMA, procurement professional with over 25 years experience. Sam is a business advisor who has worked with the then Business Link, West Midlands. He is an experienced business mentor. Currently, Sam is coordinating the Wolverhampton Black Business Network mentoring program. The next in the panel is Janet Smith. Janet was the former chair of Wolverhampton Black Business Network. She's currently a director. Janet was a director of first black-owned training company, Wolverhampton Training Consortium Limited. She is a member of the Institute of Enterprise and Entrepreneurs, member of the Association of Project Management. Janet owns her company known as JS Associates. They advise and support businesses and the third sector. Her other business, the Cats and Little Gifts Company, won sponsorship from eBay through the Wolverhampton Retail Revival Competition. We now have Michael Ballarandura, who is the director of Wolverhampton Black Business Network and also the coordinator. Michael is a chartered accountant. He is the chairman of Divine Heritage Limited trading as Divine Heritage Foods, and he is the CEO of Goshen Restaurant. Both companies are here in Wolverhampton, where you can go to shop for, as Michael would say, exotic, authentic African Caribbean foods. And then we have here Anthony Davis. Anthony runs 2 successful businesses here in Wolverhampton, where he is the MD of both. The first one is the UK Security and Fire Services. This company is a member of the SSAIB accredited security body. And he is also the MD of Quick Food Products Limited, which is a member Salsa Food accredited body. These are members of the panel. So I will now go on to the questions, which members of the panel will be able to give us the answers. The first question here is addressed to Michael, you'll be leading in the answering of this first question, and it is to do with the key challenges for businesses during this pandemic and how are businesses coping with it from your own standpoint.
Thank you, Henry. Good morning, everybody. COVID-19, and I just hate that name. It has brought disruption to everything, including business and private lives. And unfortunately, we need to cope with it. It's been disastrous. It's been very, 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 very destructive. But life must go on. We experienced, during the initial stage, we experienced a lot of disruption. Yeah. Psychologically, people were disoriented. More so that you are fighting an enemy you don't even see. If somebody is carrying smallpox, it's smallpox, then you run away from it. Yeah. If it's diarrhea, it's diarrhea. But how do you describe this coronavirus? So it was really, really destabilizing. People were afraid of even mingling. And I'm in a business that I need people around me. Right. So people failed to show up. Some people failed to show up. And after the propaganda and all the information going around, you find out that people are becoming aware that you have to keep the distance, you have to cover up like a masquerade, you have to walk like suspicious. So the man around you is probably carrying this stigma. All right. So people find it difficult getting together. My business was actually going down. Then the next stage, the people started panic buying, and you find out that stock were just evaporating and things were just going on. But thank God for the government's interruption. It would have been a terrible situation, when the financial help started coming in, cash flow improved, and we can sit back. Businessmen can sit back and say, okay, at least we can cope with the situation. So far, so good. Right. We are coping, or I am coping. And I believe other businesses are. Are
there still some challenges?
Definitely there are still some challenges. Right. People are still, conscious of contact and this unseen enemy. The challenges are still there, but I think the coping strategy is very, very effective.
Thank you. Anthony, have you got anything to add on to that?
Yes. Just before COVID happened, there's always some unsurety because Brexit, the unsurety of Brexit itself caused some transportation issues and cost as well. But then I noticed once Brexit happened with my food business, we experienced a substantial increase in cost and also a restriction on services as well to our business. For instance, our chicken products that we manufacture, there was a shortage on the chicken actually coming in because it comes from abroad. But so once everything was locked down, the transportation companies they had to, all their staff was off as well, so they couldn't get drivers to come in to bring supplies in. The borders were restricted, costs, everything, business was affected, and even though the cost has gone up, I've had to bear some of the costs as well because consumer spending, if I increase my cost, consumer spending itself isn't really sure at the moment.
Did you have to shut down?
No. We because we're part of the food industry, we was able to actually continue to open and trade all the way through because we've got Asda and Costco, Heron Foods, Farm Foods, all them ones that we continue to order. So we as a company, we had to drastically make changes internally to make sure that our staff was safe as well. Our machines, for instance, they're only so big, so we can only, for instance, we've got one machine which has 5 operators on it. It's very difficult to actually social distance on this particular machine itself, because that's how big it is and that's how it's being made as well, to operate as well. So we had to introduce other systems and processes in place so we can manage staff and make sure their well-being is kept at the forefront.
Okay, thank you for that. And you, Janet?
Well, for me, it was the issue of keeping the business going when you're running a niche business. So my card company does ethnic cards. It doesn't just do generic cards, we do ethnic cards. And in the moment that the pandemic hit, it was like everything went out of everybody's head. It was almost like people forgot about birthdays and anniversaries and things like that. And then when I needed to restock, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, it was on the sympathy cards and the bereavement cards, and then trying to get those from the supplier, like Anthony said, it was difficult trying to get that because their printers then couldn't get the paper to print the cards on because it's a particular type of paper, which meant there was a delay in me actually getting my product to market. So it stopped my business for a while. Then I had to remind people I was there, and it gradually picked up. But as it picked up, then I was dealing with this issue of the supply chain. So, you know, it's one of the things I've learned from that is, regardless of what happens, you need to just remind people that you're still here and that you're still open for business and that you are still trading. But the other thing as well, the other side of that is if you can, collaborate with others, because that can also help to drive the business forward, keep you focused, but also drive your costs down.
That's right. Thank you very much for all that. Okay, we'll go to the second question then. And Janet, for you to lead us on the answering on that, please. Would you encourage anyone to start a business at this time? And what do you consider to be the pitfalls as well as the opportunities?
Okay, well, yes, I would encourage someone to start a business right now. But what I would say, it would depend on the type of business that they wanted to start, whether it is that they're able to kind of like seize the opportunities and whether they have the infrastructure in place to make it happen. Take, for example, Covid-19 has provided some people working from home or some people that were at home that weren't working the opportunity to make reusable face masks. Nobody thought of that before, you know, so that's been a good opportunity for people that have been at home. And those businesses, those micro businesses, have become SMEs over the period and have been able to sell locally and sell internationally. I think you have to be able to be innovative and find a way to diversify your business in order to maximize your turnover. I think the other thing as well is if you have a face-to-face business, like Michael's talked about his grocery store, you know, you have a face-to-face business where people are not coming into the grocery store. What I've known people do over the time is they've adapted the principle of the big supermarkets. So they've put a website up, people have ordered on the website, or they've set up a WhatsApp group so that people can order food through the WhatsApp group. And then what they've done is they've delivered the food to them, again, using social distancing techniques. And I think, you know, in terms of providing a service and thinking about the future and doing that diversification, we have to look at what's coming, what are the opportunities that are coming, and we've got the Commonwealth Games that are coming in 2022.
That should be a target.
And what we need to be doing as businesses is looking at those tenders that are available currently, because some of those deadlines are imminent this year. So they're actually planning 2 years ahead for that event in terms of the contracts that they're going to award. The pitfalls, and I think Anthony's touched on some of these, is a lack of infrastructure. If businesses don't have a website, it's a scramble then when something like this happens to get a website up and running. The lack of access to new technologies, not actually understanding how things like Zoom and MS Teams work, post-Brexit trade arrangements, specifically in relation to free trade agreements, to drive down costs. But even with these pitfalls, I would still say that I would agree for someone to start a business.
So actually they should do their homework first before coming in.
That's right.
How to work now. What about you, Sam? What have you got to add to this?
I see. It seems Janet has already touched on most of these things. But as a business advisor, obviously, I wouldn't stop anybody who likes to start a business for whatever reason. I think the issue here is, are you prepared? Have you got an idea that will sell?
Yeah.
Have you got the products? Have you got the services? Have you got the finances?
Yeah.
We're talking about starting a business. Your business may have been in the pipeline before the COVID-19.
Yeah.
So there's no how, if you're serious with the business, that you would stop.
Right.
Unless you are somehow derailed in your plans.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no reason why you couldn't start a business. I think Michael is a classical example, kicking off his second business almost during this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? For me, as in somebody who advises business as to what to do or how to go about the business, is because he is already in business, and he has the confidence to go for it.
Yeah.
Those who are just brand new, who are not sure, I think the issue here is to calm down and don't panic, and get as much advice as you can. Make sure you have enough time during this time to obviously develop your business plan to that level where it can be quite solid for you to get whatever support available.
I also do think it takes some kind of confidence, because when somebody is thinking of starting a business, in my opinion, that person is already 50% on it.
Yes.
Otherwise, he won't even start thinking that way.
Absolutely. Other things I wanted to touch on is the issue of planning and thinking. If you dwell too long on that start, you're never going to start that business.
Yes. Yeah.
If you really about it, just do a SWOT analysis that would give you a good idea as to what are your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and be able to home into those opportunities. As COVID had provided this time, as Janet has said, an opportunity for a lot of people to go for the business. There are businesses that are short-term, there are those that are long-term.
Yeah.
The issue of face mask and the rest of what we're using now, you might class as short-term, because obviously over time they might slow down. So it's up to you to know what is really going to be your backbone in that business. Pitfalls, we know, is finance. We know now that existing businesses have been able to be supported through the CBILS and all the intervention funds and loans. But for a new starter, it's an impediment, because the government loans and so on and so forth, you would find them difficult to get them because you haven't got that track record. But if you have a good business plan, I'm sure you would get by through the bounce back loan.
Thank you.
You'll be able to get other loans from the banks.
Thanks for...
Sorry, just to add. I think also as well, anybody thinking about businesses, they've just got to be mindful that going into business is a risk. Right. All of us here that are in businesses, we've all taken a risk. I mean, we haven't got our normal 9-to-5 job. So I do have quite a few people approach me, and then I think it's good to talk to other business people as well who are at ground level to actually get advice and understand how do they cope and reality, because sometimes even when you go to the bank and you ask for some advice, sometimes because they're not at ground level, they're giving you information which is pie in the sky talk. I mean, telling you to give you all these big, like risk assessments and all stuff to actually business plans, which really sometimes that isn't what that person needs at that particular moment in time as well. So.
Thanks very much for all that. That's great. We'll move on to the third question now, and it's to do with IT. Anthony, you start us on that. What do you consider to be the benefits of IT for business following the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think on the IT side of things, everybody's had to get used to, Zoom. Zoom itself was one of the main platforms that we use to communicate with staff and the wider community as well. Even though it's been around, I haven't, to tell you the truth, I wasn't really using it. I did use the WhatsApp face-to-face thing occasionally, but to have quite a few people in the same, on the same screen and talking to people, that's been a game changer, really. And I think it's good for businesses to have a decent computer infrastructure in place so they can actually tap into these resources and actually make things work for them effectively. Internet speed is very important because that will enhance your experience with Zoom as well. We actually renewed our insurance via a Zoom call. My broker normally comes to see me and we sit down and have a face-to-face chat. And he was able to have a Zoom call with a trainee as well. And they're coming from quite a large building where normally they have about 180 people who actually work from a office. And now even they looking at, after this COVID-19 thing, to actually shrink down because they're spending a lot of money on large premises, whereas Zoom and everything else, it's a game changer.
A lot of money to be saved, isn't it?
But it's all about the infrastructure and making sure everybody has access to internet as well and have access to a decent internet speed as well, connection. But that's one of the one items that I think has improved and has changed for businesses.
Thank you. What about you, Janet?
Yeah, I agree with Anthony. You know, there is and has and will continue to be benefits of using IT because it's one great way of being able to collaborate with people, not just locally or nationally, but internationally as well. You know, it's one of those great things that, you know, can help to grow your business and help to improve your supply chain in terms of the various markets that you can get into. So Anthony's touched on, you know, Zoom, and then there's MS Teams, and there's WebEx, and there's Cisco's, and the platforms go on and on and on. But the great things about all of that is they do reduce travel costs, and I don't see anybody wanting to ever go back to having to travel around the country to get to meetings and not be able to have their lunch or, you know, or getting home really late. I mean, I'm sure all of us here have had several meetings in a day, 15 minutes breaks in between, you know, but we've got a lot of business done in that time that we've been doing those calls. And to quote our friend Pierce Lilly, he just says, PR yourself. Just play the game and PR yourself. Zoom and all of those platforms are a good way to PR yourself. If you want to collaborate with a company in Europe, just make yourself a small video and send it to them as opposed to sending them an email or a letter, and showcase your business to them that way. You know, over the time, all of us, no respect to our media team, but over the time, all of us have become videographers and know what a bit of soft lighting can do for us and where to sit so there isn't a glare of a shadow when you're in a meeting, you know. And I think it can provide a very creative way for black entrepreneurs to be able to do business. And this can drive, when you're in this time of uncertainty, this can drive a sense of direction and sense of purpose.
Good, good. And you, Michael?
I'll start by saying, once I was blind,
Yeah.
now I can see. You know, I think that's one of the benefits of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Prior the event, advent of COVID-19, I never thought of IT helping my business because people just troop in. And now I found out that when the scare came up, people started running away. And I need to sell my products. I went to a friend's shop, and I could see him, you know, laughing, and he was happy. I said, "What's the secret behind your success?" He said, "He's now selling on the internet."
That's it.
And people were buying. Actually, his sales went about 3 times over. So now that I've received my site, I'm working on my IT too. So my customers can buy online, and I can either package and sell it to them or go and deliver. So I think it's a good thing. IT is the thing now.
Yes, yes. Sam, have you anything to just a few?
From my own point of view, is we know that there is benefits for going IT in business, full stop. The only change this time is that people are woken up, just like what Michael have just said, in terms of taking it seriously. And it's a good thing, that my only hope is that people will not just relax, take it easy and leave it, and thinking it's going to be just for a short time, but to continue that planning, continue that training. As to my friends who are or have a shop front and all that, they need to really upscale to get the full benefit of it and train your staff to be able to use them. Or train yourself. Because sometimes you train your staff and yourself don't know not much.
So, what I've experienced from my own type of business is that the clients that we have, some of them are of the old school, and they find this face-to-face a bit encroaching too much on them. And I've been able to reach out to those very conservative ones that are always deferring our appointments because it's a face-to-face. And with the internet now and the Zoom, the moment I ring them and say, with COVID-19, I'm sorry, we cannot have it face-to-face. Oh, that's all right, Henry. So they're quite happy for me to Zoom them and let's talk. So, yes. Thank you very much for all that. And we move on to question 4 then, and this is about mental health challenges, how it affects businessmen and women during this pandemic, and what do you suggest can be done to alleviate them? Janet, to lead us on that?
Well, economic instability is never good for anybody, and with COVID-19, we have seen a lot of economic instability. When it started, nobody knew what was going to happen because we just couldn't trade as business people. You have a face-to-face business and you were shut down. If you didn't have the IT infrastructure, you were stuck. And that then coupled with, in the media, being told that you as a black person were at higher risk disproportionately to any other group, then again, you've not got the finances to run your business because your business is shut, you can't look after your home, then you've got this health concern, and then coupled with that, if you've already got a pre-existing condition, that's like a triple threat you've got there straight away already. So, and seeing people are hearing in the media that black people were dying at an alarming rate, it makes people sad, it makes people fearful, and it made a lot of people very anxious. And there's a piece of research that's going on at the moment, and I'll tell you the name of it in a bit. But it's around mental health, because they reckon that even coming out of the pandemic, even though we're seeing our businesses return, that there's going to be a lot of people with depression and mental health conditions, and people with mental health conditions from this in the workplace. So I did some research before I came today, and I found something on what they call the We Forum, and what they suggest is something about reframing. Now, for me, reframing, from a practitioner's point of view, is looking at the situation differently, turning it on its head and looking at it differently, looking at what capabilities does your business have so that you can do things differently, and how can you make your business have a broader base? So reframe it completely. So wherever it was, the way you were doing it, look at it completely differently, reframe it, give it a broader base. Take advantage of the unexpected opportunity we have now to reshape your business operations and the culture of your organisation. So take stock. It's a space for you to take stock in, place and evaluate. So look at where you are now, look at where you want to go, use your friends and families, your customer base, your employees, to come up with ideas to move your business forward. Marks and Spencer did it. A few years ago, they asked their staff, what should we be doing when they were going into a decline? And it worked for them for a while, and it brought their business back up.
That's good.
Yeah.
What about you, Sam? Have you got anything to...
Yeah, obviously, I mean, everybody at this point in time is depressed in terms of, because of coronavirus. And depression, if not checked, becomes, endemic and becomes a big issue. And at the time, the onset of coronavirus, a lot of businesses, obviously, the first point of call for businesses is, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And if the business is going to be shut, and when it's shut, what am I going to do with my employees? What am I going to do with the finances? What am I going to do with everything? And that is a lot for someone to carry. And obviously, at that point, there are issues of such issues as childcare for people, workers with children, the school closures. It's quite a lot in terms of issues that arose as a result of the coronavirus. Because Janet has touched a few things, I'll go straight to things that you could be doing as a business person. Would be not to panic, to try to be in control if you can. Reach out to your network, and the such network as ours is also part of people you can reach out to. If we have something to tell you how you can manage, we will. And obviously, reach out to all your creditors and be able to see how you can be on top of all that, so that they don't give you sleepless nights. Because obviously, when you can't sleep at night, you can't cope. Obviously, I think for that reason, I suppose, if you can manage to, be on top of all the issues in terms of your finances, because I guess that is the most worrying aspect of the mental health issues that anybody would face, is to how do you deal with your business if it goes out of business, if you go out of business, or how do you then scale up, or how do you then make that shift to something else to be able to continue in line with the business you're running.
Thank you.
I'd just like to pick up a point following on from Sam. I think there's something about seizing opportunities, cultivate a nature of spotting an opportunity, and be ready to shift when that opportunity comes along as a business. They've got a piece of research that's going on at the moment. It's the mental health and productivity pilot. And we'll be putting that on the WBBN website. It's a program that will support employers across the West Midland region to improve the future of the workplace, mental health and well-being by removing stigma about mental health and highlight the positive impact that mental health can have on productivity in the workplace. Yes, so that's a 2-year pilot that they're running through Coventry University by a friend of mine called Dr. Guy Daly. So we'll put that on the website so everybody can have access to that information.
That would be nice. I think it's also time for the people who have engaged few staff to start thinking about investing in their staff as well. That's the challenge again there, because we have to give them the assurance. If the working environment doesn't look conducive, they tend to panic. So when you're telling them to come to work and you've not done your own part of it, to put the place in the way that they can feel confident to come to, that becomes a problem. What about you, Antonia? Mike, anything?
I said earlier, I've had to put things in place, invest in screens, temperature checking at work, just to make sure that the environment is comfortable so they can come to work as well. And I think Sam already touched on the well-being of, as company directors. When everything happened, there is that fear that you're going to lose everything. And that in itself, financial pressure is one of the worst pressures to actually deal with, to actually worry about how you're going to come out of it. And when you do come out of it, right, all the damage that's been done, how do you deal with the damage moving forward as well? And then can you actually afford to deal with the damage and move forward as a business as well? So you got like a double-edged sword there, and that's why a lot of companies, they've just gone to the wall, closed down, because they can't see a way through this. You know, there's big, large companies, small companies. A lot of companies just seem to be shrinking. So, I mean, if you can get through it this time, then really you're doing well.
Thank you. Okay, then, Mike, we'll come back to you. Let's just move on to the next question, right? This is to do with what the WBBN is doing to support businesses in Wolverhampton, and what support is there available for them as well. So if we can start with you, Michael, on that.
Thank you, Henry. One of our cardinal objectives is to encourage fellow Black to be in business. And not only that, we are around, I mean, WBN is around to give all necessary support to get you off and get you moving. Over a couple of years now, we've been having network meetings, you know, having our conferences. We bring in people who are in this business with various experience, you know, expertise, very intelligent MPs, you know, they've been around, and we've been encouraging people outside the WBN to come in and they'll be part of us. Presently, we are going through the mentoring project, which is to enable you, you know, give you the idea of what you are, what you want to do. You know, the issue is you have an idea of what you want to do, but you don't know how to go about it. So we mentor you, we give you idea. We, you know, mentoring is not teaching or giving you instructions as how to do it. But the two of us, or the mentee and the mentor, come together. You know, we have a robust discussion the way forward. We've been, you know, as the coordinator, my task is to get as many people as possible in and let them have that feelings of belonging. And I just want to use the opportunity, and Sam will elaborate more, really. I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity of being their own boss. I enjoy my independence. I wake up when I want to wake up, and I sleep when I want to sleep. You know, and I just enjoy it. Nobody comes around
We have to be
to boss
careful
me.
on that, Michael.
So WBN is in that position to help you and enlighten you and encourage you to be a businessman. We've been sleeping all along. It's time for us to wake up.
So, Sam, if we're taking on from there and thinking about, apart from WBBN as well, with other support that is available.
Well, obviously, as an organization, WBBN, as Wolverhampton Black Business Network, we're set up as a CIC and managed and run by volunteers, as we all are. And obviously, over the years since the setup, we've been having network meetings, we've been doing workshops, you know, business workshops into finance, procurement, marketing, and governance, and everything that really a business should know or have while they're in business, or those who are beginning new. And our aim was obviously to try and scale up our businesses from the BME to make sure that we are measuring up and not taking a back seat as to what is happening in business. And we've been doing that, collaborating with outside agencies, you know, both the local university, the Birmingham University, Aston University, and many other organizations as much as we can. We've collaborated, also have had interventions with the bank, you know, to make sure that when they're considering loan applications, that they're considering them on their merits and not because some people, some of us have that inclination to think that naturally they're not really looking into the applications as they should. Yeah. And we had that intervention a few years back now. Myself and Janet had that meeting with Barclays Bank. Yes. And we were grateful that they were able to run us through their assessment process. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the information that we bring back to our businesses and share with them. Mm-hmm. And currently, the mentoring program, which Michael have just touched on, is also to help those who are beginning or those who are already in business to be able to continue and not take a back seat on this. And following what Janet touched on as well, the issue of the Commonwealth Games, mm-hmm. and the procurement opportunities, we're also planning to run some events going forward in terms of being able to get people ready to apply for some of those procurement opportunities. Mm-hmm. And again, working with the council or business support organizations in our region to make sure that we're not missing out, mm-hmm. in whatever is. There are so many government interventions as we speak, but many people, because they're one-man band or two-man bands, they haven't been able to really catch up with applying for some of these interventions. And we've gone the far of sending information to people on our database to make sure that they know what is, they can apply for. And there are current interventions that is now going to kick off by 1st of November called Kickstart. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So obviously that is for businesses to take on young people, mm-hmm. and the government would support businesses that take on these youths. So we will be letting our people, our members, and those on our database to be aware, not to, again, miss out. Yeah. Because while we have the network, is to make sure that we are that sounding board for our businesses in the city. Otherwise, people will not have the necessary support to keep their business going.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Those great answers from members of the panel. We'll now go on to the last question then. And this is to do with the fact that UK has left Europe. What does the panel consider to be the opportunities that may arise and possible challenges for our businesses? Anthony, can you lead us on that, please?
Yeah, for me, I just want to emphasize free trade. Yeah. That's a biggie for me, not just my business, but also the transportation network that feeds into the British businesses across the country. Free trade that will help keep the costs down as well to so we can then pass those savings on to our customers. Mm-hmm. So free trade for me in business, that's the one main thing that would really substantially affect how we move forward. Okay. So whoever's making the decisions need to make sure that's first on the table.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Michael?
Yeah, my business is import-based, really. So there's no way I can shy away from the effect of Brexit, But what I know is that in every situation in life, mm-hmm. life goes on. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking at the problems that is coming along with Brexit. I'm looking at the opportunity that will open up, mm-hmm. and I'm ready to buy into it. Mm-hmm. So, Brexit or no Brexit, Michael moves on.
Business goes on.
Yes, the show must go on.
Yeah, I think part of the Brexit situation is also us as an organization to continue to support and bring things have those awareness of our businesses to take opportunities mm-hmm. that arise rather mm-hmm. than dwell on on the difficulties. And if people wanted to reach out to us for some information, I think they can go to our website, which is www.wbebn.co.uk. So obviously, I think anybody that is not sure how to go about the issues we have discussed, and particularly the Brexit issue, can reach out to us, because we attend the conferences and the workshops that these things are discussed, and we can share whatever information we got.
Janet?
Yeah, I think there is opportunity coming, and I think Anthony's very correct. The free trade agreements between the various countries, the various parties, if we get those right, it is going to be great for business here in the UK. Yeah. If we don't get it right, then we've got another whole ball game. But again, like Michael says, it's about adaptation. So as soon as we're alert to that, we adapt, we change our base, get a broader base in our businesses. But I think something else as well, that in terms of UK agriculture, it's an opportunity now for UK agriculture. We've seen that shrinking over the years, and I think this is a growth opportunity. This is a moment in time where if we're not going to be able to get all the products and services that we want from abroad, then this is an opportunity for our homegrown farmers here to be able to expand their businesses. That is as long as government put the right processes and subsidies in place and continue to support them for the duration that they need to be where they need to be. So that's my thinking. I think it's, adaptation, opportunities. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, Henry, can I just say about our conference as well, because we've got got one of the speakers at our coming conference who will be speaking on the import-export. These guys from the DIT. So obviously it'd be interesting for people who are looking to do that international trading to be at that conference virtually. The date is on the 8th of October, and it's from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And you can get the information from WBBN website, which I've already given.
Fantastic. So, I thank you all members of the panel for your wonderful contribution to this webinar. Between four of you, we're looking at 100 years experience, 25 years each, minimum. So I hope the audience have found the discussions here quite useful. We thank the City of Wolverhampton Council for supporting us with this webinar. And for the audience who have viewed our webinar today, I hope you visit our website from time to time to know what we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.